Day 3 at the US Open is in the books, and Andrei Rublev had to scrape his way back from 2 sets to love down. Novak Djokovic is having trouble with his serve, and on the women's side, Sabalenka, Gauff and Pegula all cruising through.
There we go, another day of US Open action, and it seems like it's business as usual. No real big shocks. I would say most of the favourites going through the draw. Rublev, I don't know what he was playing at and how he struggled so much in them opening 2 sets, but looked brilliant after that moment against Rinderknecht. Really happy with Shelton, the way he was able to win in straight sets. Great on the women's that Coco Gauff is there or thereabouts playing some of her better tennis, I would say. She seems to always peak at the US Open. And I think she has got some good chances here to go all the way again. And Emma Navarro, I feel beating Ruud. We spoke about Ruud yesterday, how she's one of the more consistent players on the women's tour. Someone who's won at least a match at every single Grand Slam this year. I think that's a really good result in the way she won. In America, 6-1, 6-1. Emma Navarro is a really good outside pick for this title.
Yeah, an interesting one, to be honest, Emma Navarro. She can come a cropper, though, with the pressure of the big moments. So we'll see how she gets on as the tournament progresses. Obviously, Kim Win-jae going through again. Let's go to the men's side first, though. And the first topic I think we should discuss is Andrei Rublev. It was the biggest comeback of the day. And I don't know whether to be impressed or depressed about what Andrei Rublev's doing on the tennis court. He's not had a very good last few months, let's put it that way. And I think the start of this match, even though, there's another thing about this guy who was playing, I was listening to the commentary, and I think we've been butchering his name for quite a while. I think it's something like Rinderknecht or something like this. But yeah, don't quote me on that. So I apologise if we're getting his name wrong. But Rublev, I don't think he was at his best for the first 2 sets. I think that his opponent really was playing well. But when you saw it, see, he's a Grand Slam player, really, Andrei Rublev, and he's one of the top 10 for a reason. He came back from those 2 sets down, and he never looked really like losing the match after winning the 3rd set. He came back and he absolutely obliterated him. Similar to what Jannik Sinner did after losing the 1st set in his last match as well. They just got talent, these guys. I'm just surprised that he dropped 2 sets and it was a 4-hour grueling match. It didn't have to be. But do you reckon that this is a sign of bad things for Andrei Rublev? Or do you reckon this win will give him a little bit more hope for the next round?
I think it's a sign of bad things. Reason being, Rublev is someone who, when he's playing well, dispatches of opponents quite quickly. And we see one-sided sets. The only positive is the last 3 sets were pretty one-sided. But when you're seeing 37 shot rallies in a match and Andrei Rublev is part of it, you know it's not looking good for him because he's not someone who's going to enjoy the longer rallies. He's not finding his punch, and that's what he's got. He's got a great backhand, great forehand, very powerful player. Someone who you'd think when he's feeling himself, his game is reliant very much on winners and unforced errors. He needs to be finding them winners. Was unable to find enough, and it got better as it went on for sure. But Rinderknecht is no world beater, and he made him look really good. So I don't, based off what I've seen, look at this and think Rublev has a good run in him this year. And I think it's a matter of time until he goes out.
Well, he's got a very, very difficult match next. But isn't it weird when you sometimes get 2 players who face each other after pretty much the same result? And his next matchup will be Jiri Lehečka. And Lehečka had to come back from 2 sets, 3-love down to win his matchup. So both of them are coming off the back of 2 sets down, 5-set victories. Who's going to win that one? I mean, it's an actual matchup that you'd expect to see a bit further down the draw, I think. But we're going to get it in the 3rd round. I don't like it for Andrei Rublev much, because if somebody like Lehečka turns up, we saw he beat Daniil Medvedev recently on a hard court, and that's not easy to do.
Yeah, I think I do have him playing in my bracket, and I've got Lehechka winning, so I'm going to stick with it. And I think Yuri Lehechka will knock him out in the next round.
Yeah, I mean, he's the 32nd seed. I think I have Rublev in my bracket, but I expected him to be doing a lot better in these early stages, not going to 5 sets so early. Lehechka went to 5 with Kruger, though, and he's dropped sets in both of his matches so far. Andre Rublev, let us know in the comment section, how do you see Andre Rublev's tournament progressing? Do you see him going out against Lehechka, or do you see him going a bit further in this tournament and building his way into it? This little tweet we got on the screen here was saying, what's legendary from this match, more than the 37 shots, was telling the doctor, I drank too much, I ate too much, I feel like I have a little baby girl in my stomach. And then saying, good to know that he knew the gender already. Which is a very interesting thing to be saying on a tennis court, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not getting involved in any gender debates at all on this episode, so
no,
I'll leave
I
that
think
to you.
very, very wise. But somebody who does have a little girl, a nice segue over, is the guy, the reigning champion. It's Novak Djokovic. He went through against his countryman. It was Laslo Djere. He did retire in the third set, but Djokovic was the first to admit in this matchup he wasn't at his best. He couldn't barely serve. He said, I was playing without a serve. Obviously, Kyrgios was interviewing him. He said, I could have done with your serve, really, essentially, today. So I'm not the type of player who can just be as consistent as you. But Laslo Djere should have won the second set. He said that to him as well. But Djokovic just pulls it out. I know he says he should have won the second set, but it's all about business ends. And if you can't do it against Djokovic, then he'll just take the set. And that's what he did. And third set, he just sort of, it killed him, I think, that losing that second.
Yeah, there must have been some kind of gentleman's agreement between the two of them before the match. Two Serbians playing each other. Laslo Djere was allowed to get close, and that was it.
Went 5 last year with him.
I mean, looked better, I'd say, in the first... Definitely the second set for sure. He was decent. He was up. What was he up? 4-2 at some stage.
Yeah.
Ended up losing that set, and from that moment on, he was just completely finished. Retired. Don't know why he retired. Still, I thought it was really bizarre. Djokovic was a bit surprised. He was changing his t-shirt every other game. Just looked rattled, and I don't know. Just probably wanted Djokovic to win anyway, so allowed him through to the draw. Djokovic, not good whatsoever. He's not performing at a high level at this US Open. But then again, I'm not going to read into any of his performances until at least the second week. I think he's far superior to a lot of these guys. And mentally, they look beat before they even start. And Laslo Djere was typically one of them today. So let's see where it goes for Djokovic later on in the draw, because I know he could have some good opponents. Poprin, someone we've interviewed.
Next, yeah.
And beyond that, potentially my guy, Benjamin Shelton, who could put the phone down on him.
Well, before he gets to him, Djokovic is under no illusions that playing the way he's playing currently is going to be a real struggle against someone like Poprin, who he recognises has obviously just won a Masters event. He's coming into this in fantastic form. He's yet to drop a set as well in the first 2 rounds. He looks really good, Poprin, and he's always quite good against Djokovic as well. Gives him a bit of a match. So
he's had plenty of practice now. What was it? Australian Open, Wimbledon, and now US Open. So more or less in all of the slams, both the hardcore ones, he gets to play Poprin, well, Djokovic. Yeah. And surely that will help. I mean, the more matches you can have under your belt against someone like Novak Djokovic, it may give you some kind of ideas of what to do. But on the same footing, you could say Djokovic knows his game inside out as well, knows exactly what he needs to do. So you'd expect Djokovic to get through it. But I'm anticipating him to drop a set against Poprin.
I think that's a good call as well. That serve is no joke. And somebody else who tends to play Djokovic quite often in slams and whose serve is also no joke, is Taylor Fritz. I mean, he went through against Berrettini. I thought it was going to be a closer affair than this, but he absolutely wipes the floor with Matteo Berrettini last night. 6-3, 7-6, 6-1 in the third set as well. And I felt a bit sorry for Berrettini out there on the court. Even the commentators were saying, like, come on, give him a chance, Taylor. He was literally hitting so well, Taylor Fritz. Could he be a threat for this tournament?
No chance. Taylor Fritz will never win the US Open because he doesn't have any kind of mental fortitude against the top elite players. You'd see him get obliterated against either a Sinner, Alcaraz, Medvedev, or a Djokovic. With Berrettini, run out of steam. I think he didn't want to have to come back from 2 sets down. Didn't have that fight. If he won that second set, it would have been a different match altogether, and I think it could have gone 5, probably edging of Taylor Fritz because he was the better player. But Berrettini, physically, I don't think he's still 100%. And until he can get to his full level with the serve popping, he's not going to be a big threat because I think his game is reliant very much on the first serve and then the shot straight afterwards. And if that's not at its best, he's a pretty average player, I'd say. Apart from that, his backhand's nowhere near good enough at the top level. And there needs to be so many improvements in his game. And he needs all of the big things, what he does well, to be going extremely well, and it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, when he isn't confident, Berrettini, it definitely shows.
He needed that. He needed the tie break. He went to the tie break in the second. Needed that one. At the moment, it was 2 sets to love down. You just see like it was a defeated look.
I know what you mean. It's sad, unfortunately, that he was unable to bring his A game. It promised a lot, didn't really deliver. Taylor Fritz goes through to the next round where he will play the guy who is only good in Grand Slams, it would seem. It is Francisco Comesaña from Argentina. And how is he doing it again? I mean, bear in mind, he's having a crazy year. He hadn't ever played on grass before. Got to the 3rd round of Wimbledon. Now he's coming in to the US Open. He's just won his first 2 matches here as well. And like Damien Kuss saying here, he owns 4 tour level wins in his career. And they're all at slams. And his biggest win by ranking outside of the slams is only number 93, which is Galan Riveros in Lima in the Challenger quarter-final last year. He's beaten the likes of Rublev at Wimbledon and now Ugo Humbert at the US Open. I mean, it's fantastic.
Well, as we're speaking, I'm just having a look at the live rankings because I'm fascinated to see how high he's gone with just 4 wins on the main tour. I do think he is a good player. I think with his draw at Wimbledon, he was quite fortunate. I forget who it was in the first round. And then the one afterwards is playing a Rublev who completely capitulated. I think at that stage, I said it on the episode at the time, I think if Rublev had played anyone, he would have lost. He was in that mood where you could have played 200, 300 the world. He was losing. I didn't want to take too much away from Comesaña from that moment. But he's been quite fortunate with who he's played and when he's played them.
Yeah.
Here at the US Open, Humbert, I don't know really what he's a bit hot and cold as well. And it looks great on paper, beating a number 6 and a number 17, but they're not world beaters by any means. I don't think he's a world beater, but he's still doing incredibly well. And he's got up to 87 in the world, which is pretty impressive, which is higher than Carabelli.
I think it's quite good to note that some players are better in Grand Slams, better at the bigger tournaments, better with the pressure. And
I don't think he is. I don't think he is. I don't think he's necessarily better. I think he's been very lucky with his draws.
No, but you've still got to perform.
To get them seeded players at the times of when he did, I mean, very, very fortunate. That Rublev one was a walking by.
No, come on. I mean, the way that he performs, when you still get to the big moments.
If you wind back to Wimbledon when he beat Rublev was there for the taking. I think that's the one where he completely smashed all his leg up and all sorts. He was not there. He checked out. He was having such a bad run up until that point. Humbert, I must admit, I don't really know, but I've not seen him going very far in events. So I can't really say what he's been up to.
Yeah, I mean, he's been very up and down this year. I mean, at Wimbledon, got all the way to, I think it was 4th round against Alcaraz.
Humbert's a more impressive one than the Rublev one for sure. So fair play. What he's done in the US Open this year, beating Humbert in the way he did, is a lot more impressive than the Rublev one.
You still got to see a match out. That's my main point from this is it's difficult when you're in the biggest moments of your career, and a lot of the players who we're saying are even top players manage to throw away winning positions. He hasn't done that, and he seems to be able to close out matches, which I think if he finally gets, so let's say top 50 or top 30, that skill or ability is going to really benefit him, I think, come Grand Slam tournament. So doing well, happy to see it. And I don't really give him a chance against Fritz. I think Fritz will probably beat him. I'd say probably straight sets as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, moving on to another guy. I mean, unfortunately, Gael Monfils is out. I hate to announce that to everybody, but Casper Ruud looking really, really good. And a tribute point to Sir Andy in last night's match. I mean, what a point this was. I mean, if you didn't get a chance to go and have a look at it, go have a look at it now, because I can't believe he managed to stay in this point and actually win it. He went from side to side to side to side, eventually hitting a winner. It was incredible. And that's the type of thing Gael Monfils is known for. He probably couldn't believe what was going on down the other end.
Yeah, I mean, Murray replied to this and was saying you're going to have a metal hip if you continue.
Yep, he did. There he is.
And the point was really good. I think Casper Ruud is going to have a good tournament. He's someone who's done well at the US Open in the past. I feel
Finalist.
I should have put him further in my bracket. I got a little bit wrapped up in the Gael Monfils hype and the way he's been playing. I wanted to see Monfils progress through the draw, but Casper Ruud deserved to win. And now is someone who I'd consider a top 5 contender for the US Open.
Wow. That's a high regard. He's playing Shang next, which is no easy matchup. Shang been making his way through the tournament, knocking out Rublev and Kawai's Boina. The winner of Shang Ruud will play the winner of Komasana Fritz. So we could be seeing a Ruud Fritz 4th round matchup. That would be an entertaining one that I'd definitely... I think I'd still go Taylor Fritz, though, just based upon the serve, though.
Not for me. I think Ruud beats him, and it could be in 4 sets as well. I fancy Ruud big time. When he's feeling it and playing well, and he likes his tournament, he's dangerous, and we could see a good tournament from him.
Well, he's a handsome guy, so I can see why you fancy him. Let's move on to the women's. And Coco Gauff, reigning defending champion, like you were saying earlier, she looks like in sensational form. She comes to this tournament and she really embraces it now, like playing in front of the massive crowds. A bagel, I mean, that's just what we want to be seeing from Coco Gauff in these early rounds. That's a signal of intent against Tatiana Maria, and they were showing obviously Maria's daughter, I believe it was, in the crowd, who is closer in age to Coco Gauff than Tatiana Maria herself, which is, I feel like Novak Djokovic has these comparisons a lot of the time as well. But
yeah, the age difference between Maria and Coco Gauff is 17 years. The age difference between Maria's older daughter and Coco Gauff is 9 years.
Madness.
Who was also there watching on, like you said. Incredible, really.
It's insane. I mean, Coco Gauff, I don't know what more to say about it. We've obviously got to speak about it. Going to play Svitolina next, which is probably the first real test of the tournament, like it says here. I expect her to still beat Svitolina. I expect it to be closer sets, but I still do expect it to be straight sets. How about you?
Yeah, agreed. And I think Coco Gauff is playing really well. It's not easy to win an event as big as the US Open, then come back the following year and still be performing at a good level. She's showing a really good calm mentality. I liked in the post-match interview with Kyrgios how she was speaking about how she's feeling with not much pressure on her. She's already done something incredible in this sport, and she's playing with that level of freedom, which is definitely helping her. It's crazy how young she is as well. She's 20 years old. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, so young. I mean, she feels like she's been on the tour forever.
It just doesn't feel right. Like, I don't understand how she's 20. It's like she never ages. But I think it's because she was here for... we was watching her from such a young age.
It's insane, isn't it?
And yeah, definitely on the women's, one of the top 5. Could make a case for top 3.
Yeah, looking really good. And somebody who is going to be probably, if not our main competitor at the US Open, one of them, Sabalenka. I mean, she's doing exactly the same thing that Coco's doing, cruising through in her match against Bronzetti. It was 6-3, 6-1. And then a lovely thing after the match, which was this little girl coming out of the crowd with a little tiger toy that she's got there. And then she was holding a tattoo up next to it as they were having a picture together. I thought this was very sweet. Dressed as Sabalenka.
The same outfit, yeah.
Yeah, no, which is quite nice. But yeah, these are the moments that we expect. The early rounds aren't going to be full of like crazy upsets for players like Sabalenka, but she can give us some lovely moments like after the matches.
I mean, I was wondering what tweet you had for Sabalenka, because if it was going to be about the tennis, I think I was going to just have close my eyes for a moment
Skip.
because there wasn't much to say. Like it was
Nah.
just exactly how we'd expect. An early round against Bronzetti on the hard court, Sabalenka playing all right. It's done. I'm surprised it was as close to sets as they were.
Yeah, I mean, really, really impressive. Jess Pegula, she's obviously the 6th seed. She's up against Sofia Kenin, the Raducanu's conqueror, in the next round. Do you see Pegula as somebody who could maybe go a bit further in this tournament this year, or is it still the same quarterfinals max for Pegula?
Yeah, exactly the same. Quarterfinals max. Doesn't matter who she plays. In a semi or a quarter, she'll lose it. I just don't think she's got it at the latter end of these big events.
I've got a funny tweet for Jess Pegula as well. I thought this one I'd love to show you because
tailor-made for me, is it?
It is a bit of a tailor-made for JG, and it is Jess Pegula's family is worth billions of dollars. She's a top 10 tennis player in the world, and yet she still takes the subway to Flushing Meadows. I mean, here she is going through the subway, going there, sitting on the subway, and just going through. And she apparently takes it all the way to the stadium because it takes longer to drive, apparently, to the stadium. What do you make of that? Jess Pegula, just one of the people.
It's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. I think it's refreshing. I think you're being around your snobbery for all of these years regarding London buses and other public transport. I think it's great to see people of a different class to myself and you actually using public transport and not having that snobbish mentality. I think it's great to see. And you never know. I may even now cheer on a little bit more after seeing this.
Wow.
And let's see if she can get through that semi-final or quarter-final. Go on, Jess.
I was going to say, looking at this video when I was watching it, there didn't seem to be many other people on this
hide it out,
system. As her dad said, right, close down. We're just having Jess travelling on the metro today, and then she just wanders in there.
PR stunt.
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just joking, Jess. We know you're just one of the people, just travelling in, and I hope she does well. She deserves to have a good run at a slam. Maybe this is her year. Moving on.
If she is watching quickly, Ben, I just want to message to her right now.
Probably is.
I'm sure either her or our father is watching, one of the Pegula family. Always. We do have the link to our Patreon and PayPal in the description. It'd be great to have some Pegula love in there.
That's it. Probably more like a cease and desist coming rather than one of the donation. On this one, I thought that this might make you chuckle. If we go back a few podcast episodes ago, this might remind you of somebody else from this podcast. And we got Marta Kostyuk rocking a Ben look on the court here with the ice bag on head, and but she's gone one up here with the Rafa aircon tube, I like to call it, just blowing in the face there. I think I might have to go ahead and get myself one of these aircon tubes as well next time I'm playing against you in the sun.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. You've said everything. Is the weather that hot this year? That's what I want to know. You usually give me a weather report because we do live matches usually. I feel like you always give me an update every day how the weather's progressing. I've not seen many reports of what the weather's like. I did see an incident. Was it Mickelson or someone? I don't know. Was laying on the floor. No, Nishioka. I don't know if he had some kind of heat stroke in the first round. But if it's a bit like how Europe is at the moment, 25. Probably is quite hot.
It says it's 25. I don't think it. I mean, I don't even think
I bring out right now, Ben.
I don't think I even bring out the ice pack for the head in 25 degrees. But
yeah, but when you say 25, is it, if you just look right now and it says 25, because I think it's like 7 o'clock in the morning there.
But it says for the next few days, it's like 23, 29 on Sunday, it's 25. It's around that temperature. Trust me, if you're playing in high-intensity tennis, I'm sure it feels a lot hotter, and I'm sure I'd probably have an ice pack on every part of my body after playing against some of these players.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that hot. I know what you mean. Strange.
Yeah. Let's go to some more weird incidents that were going on court. Obviously, we had one of our podcast guests that went out, Francisco Solundolo, in the all-Argentine affair to Thomas Martin Echeverri, who went through again. And unfortunately, Echeverri somehow won whilst doing this on the court. A bit of a puke there, unfortunately. Just while walking to the back of the court, couldn't hold it in to even conceal it, and it just came flying out there.
He's missed the trick. He's missed the trick. He should have found a bin, and then he could be the new Yannick Sinner. You never know. It changed Yannick Sinner's career doing that. So let's see if Echeverri, it's going to change his one.
Closterball, is it? I'm just joking.
God.
I'm joking.
Has he got a new physiotherapist? I'll be putting the gloves on.
That's it, mate. Who knows? Next, Grand Slam winner in a year's time. You've heard it here first. Echeverri, put a bet on now. 5,000 to 1 for next year's US Open. And just to finish up, I know we're giving Emma Raducanu a bit of a rough ride, weren't we? I mean, she's only turning up to play some tennis, probably doing a few other PR things. But you know me, I try and back her up here and there where I can. And I found this tweet, which is just more of a comparison, really, because I know that we like to compare the two, Leylah Fernandez and Emma Raducanu, since their final at the US Open. This is what's happened, really. There's only one win between the two of them since getting to that final. And yeah, it's pretty crazy considering how well they did in 2021. It's like a curse almost that they did so well that year because they haven't done well since.
At the US Open, right?
Yeah, at the US Open.
Leylah Fernandez has been a lot more successful.
Yeah, she's won a tournament.
All the other tournaments.
Yeah,
she's going the right way about it. She's having a good year. I mean, it's unfortunate this year losing to Potapova the way she did, and it's strange that neither of them can get it going at the US Open.
Draw.
Still, Leylah for me has been a lot more impressive post that US Open run.
Oh, most definitely. In all other tournaments. This one's just to say.
Who wrote this tweet? I want to see the agenda.
Venus Goff.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go. Right. So that wraps up today's podcast. Not that much to report in the way of crazy upsets. Bit more business as usual this day. And hopefully we get some more crazy stories coming out on day 4.
Yeah, one thing I would like to do, Ben, is have a look to the fixtures today.
Okay, bring them up.
And let's call one upset, which we both think is going to happen. So we can, hopefully it's not going to be the same one. And that can be something we can speak about tomorrow. So let's select one who we think could be an upset. I don't know if you want to bring up the matches. I've only got one screen, so I can't see.
No worries.
And it's got to be someone who is an upset. So evens or above. Ideally, the bigger the better, because it shows a little bit more cojones about you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be going for Mickelson, that's for sure. I'm having a little scan now. Let me have a look. Do you have one to hand?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go for one. I mean, it doesn't have to be, it can be men's or women's. But going down here, I'm going for a bit of a punt. And I'm going to go for Adrian Manarino to knock out David Goffin. 3.2. It's a very big odds. But I think he's a bit of a strange player. Strange cat, old Manarino. And he could pull it out the bag.
It's not a bad one, actually. I do like that one, Ben.
All right.
There's not that many to pick from, really. I can't really see any what jump off the page to me. So I brought this new little segment, and I don't really have one. There is one I could say, which I saw a second ago, which I quite liked.
There are some tomorrow as well, because it overlaps for us. It goes overnight, so you can have a look at some of tomorrow's.
No, it's okay. I've got one on the women's actually, which is going to be kicking off first, and that is Clara Towson.
Nice.
I'm picking Clara Towson to beat Schneider.
Well, I mean, it's 4s. It's a massive one. I'm backing Schneider all the way in that one based upon her current form. She's the 18th seed for a reason. But Towson has the ability to be a good call if you get it right.
There we go. That is our outside picks for tomorrow. Let us know yours in the comment section. If you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you tomorrow for another day's roundup. Djokovic, he's gone through again, so no worries there. We've got Sinner and Alcaraz coming up soon too. And all to play for, the US Open. Be there for it. See you soon.